morning, children. Welcome to the class once again. In the previous class, we have seen different types of nutrition. Autotrophic type of nutrition, by means of which plants will synthesize their own food material by means of photosynthesis, and they are called autotrophs. And there are certain other organisms which depend on plants directly or indirectly. They are called heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are once again called herbivores, which depend on plants for their food. And herbivorous animals which depend on plants for their food, and carnivorous animals which depend on other animals for their food. And saprophytes are the organisms which depend on dead parts of plants and animals, and they get their food. So that's all. And we have seen how the nutrition will take place, very primitive type of nutrition which takes place in amoeba, and how it produces pseudopodia, and it engulfs, it takes in the food material, and the food will get digested, and undigested food will be sent out through contractile vacuole. Because it is an unicellular organism, one cell will control all the functions. But so there are certain plants which are parasitic. I told you parasites are the organisms which secrete, which select a host, and they take shelter and food from the host. External parasites and internal parasites. So external parasites are those which live on the body surface of the organism. I told you, like lice, ticks, and then leech. All these organisms are external parasites. And a plant, some plants are also parasitic plants. They depend on other plants for their food. Examples I told you, cuscuta, which depends on other plant for their food. And in the same way, internal parasites, so they select a particular organ in host body, and they get shelter and also food. So that is internal parasites. And now we shall see how the digestive system will take place in man, that we are going to study. So man is a highly evolved class. And I'll tell you after some time the classification of the animals and the plants. So first, man, that means man who belongs to the class of Mammalia. So he has the very complicated type of digestive system. So what is digestion? So digestion includes mainly 3 steps. Ingestion, taking in of food; digestion, the food material will get digested; and ejection, that means sending out of the undigested food material. 3 steps. And so in the same way, so what is ingestion? Means taking in of food. And next thing, what is digestion? So digestion is the process. What are the food which we take? Is very complex food material. So that food will get converted into the most simple substances. The most simple substances, and these simple substances are distributed to all the cells in the body. So what are the food materials which we take? So our food mainly includes carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So these are the main things which we include in our food. So fats in the digestive system will get converted to simple most substance, that is called as glucose, and proteins will get converted into simple most substances which are called amino acids, and fats will get converted into fatty acids and glycerol. So these complex food materials will get digested into simple most substance. Now, so how do they get converted? And what are all the organs which are involved in the digestive system? What are the, which are all the unit of living organism is a cell. Group of cells is called tissues. Group of tissues is called organ. Group of organs are called organ system. All the organisms put together make an organism. So the basic thing of life is cell. Okay. So now, first thing, we take the food. How do we take the food? We eat. We put the food into our mouth. So what happens in the mouth? What happens? There are teeth, tongue, muscles. All these are there. So when we take the food, which is called as ingestion, then immediately in the mouth we will start breaking up of the food, mastication of the food, breaking of large food particles into smaller ones, which is called as mastication. So here, when we take in the food, naturally in the mouth there are three pairs of salivary glands. Three pairs of salivary glands are present in the mouth. Of course, it is not in the textbook, of course. Parotid gland, submaxillary gland, and a sublingual gland. A parotid gland, submaxillary gland, and a sublingual gland. Three pairs. That means three on one side and three on the other side. These salivary glands secrete an enzyme which is called as tyalin, or salivary amylase. Tyalin or salivary amylase. So they produce saliva. The salivary glands produce saliva which contains an enzyme which is called as tyalin or salivary amylase. So these parotid gland, submaxillary gland, and sublingual glands, they start producing saliva. This saliva contains enzyme that is called tyalin, or it is also called as salivary amylase. It is alkaline in its nature. And next thing, it mixes. Teeth will help in the mastication of the food. Mastication means breaking down of large food particles into smaller ones. So mastication of the food will take place with the help of teeth, and tongue is a muscular organ which helps in mixing of the broken food particles with saliva. So tongue will naturally help in mixing of the food particles with the saliva, and so the food will become a pasty substance which is called as a bolus. So bolus is the substance which is formed in the mouth. What happens in the mouth? It is I have already told you, saliva is alkaline in its nature. So naturally the carbohydrates will get digested. Complex carbohydrates will get converted into simple substances like maltose. And so then bolus is formed. So the partially digested food in the mouth is called bolus. So this bolus is some pasty substance, that means which gets mixed up with the saliva, and partial digestion of carbohydrates to maltose, dextrin will take place. Then it forms bolus. Then it will pass through a duct which is called as esophagus. So it enters next immediately pharynx. Pharynx is a muscular organ, and so from the pharynx it enters into a tube which is called as esophagus. So this esophagus, the walls of the esophagus contain longitudinal muscles, circular muscles. And circular muscles. So this bolus and the inner lining layer of the esophagus is mucus. Mucus is a substance which keeps the inner surface moist. So, and the bolus passes through. How it passes through? Mucus membrane will help in smooth movement of the food. What is it? Bolus. And here the muscles, circular muscles, longitudinal muscles, they continuously contract and relax. Pushing the bolus forward. Like this. So that means the bolus will pass through by the expansion of these muscles. Again it is pushed forward like this. So the bolus is pushed forward due to continuous contractions and relaxations of circular muscles and longitudinal muscles. Okay, so that is how the bolus. So this movement, continuous movement of wave-like movement, is called as a peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement. Okay, so this is how the food passes through the esophagus and then enter into a sac-like structure that is called as a stomach. Okay, so next, in the next class we shall see what happens to the bolus in the stomach. Okay, thank you.